Good morning and welcome to the College Credit Plus webcast. We have just a few reminders today. The slides will advance automatically throughout the presentation. Should you need technical assistance, click on the Help button. You are encouraged to submit a question at any time during today's presentation by typing in the Ask a Question tab and clicking Submit. If your screen freezes or the slides do not appear to be advancing as they should, please try exiting and restarting the session, as it may be an issue with your connectivity. I will now turn the call over to Dr. Stephen Gratz, Senior Executive Director in the Center for Student Support and Education Options at the Ohio Department of Education. Please go ahead, Dr. Gratz.
Well, thank you for that introduction, and welcome to another seminar, a webinar, I guess they call them now, don't they, Lauren?
They do.
That's dealing with College Credit Plus. With me today, I am honored to have Wendy Casterline, who is the College Credit Plus Program Administrator at the Ohio Department of Education, and Lauren McGarity. She's the Director of Special Policy Projects at the Ohio Department of Higher Education. So welcome, ladies, and we're going to jump right in, and Michael, you moved us on to the next slide, and we're going to talk a little bit about College Credit Plus for the next hour. And this is dealing with a higher overview than what we provided last year, and we're going to talk about a few of the changes that we have. But we also have last year's webinar that's still posted on our respective web pages if anybody wants to go back and get a little bit more information of how this program was started. But the key thing is, the key premise is that this is really a student-driven process for college participation. And the goal that we have established with General Assembly came up with College Credit Plus is to increase college access for all college-ready students, and that's in grades 7 through 12. Moreover, we want to be able to provide those students with an authentic experience in post-secondary education. And from a standpoint that we want to make sure that it's an equitable program cost distribution between secondary and post-secondary. So we're just going to jump right into this conversation, and we're going to kick it off with Lauren talking a little bit about quality assurances.
Well, thanks, Steve. And you know, you just mentioned that one of the objectives is to provide an authentic college experience, and I think that that is exemplified in the quality assurances that are part of this program, the College Credit Plus program. So participation depends on college admission and placement, and this is different from what many other states do and what Ohio has done previously, because this lays the responsibility to determine college readiness with the appropriate party being the college. This is not to say that the high school teachers and counselors and parents don't play a role, because as part of the quality assurances, and we'll get into the specifics, there's a critical role for everybody to play on behalf of our collective students. The quality assurances also include that instructors must be credentialed. Now, there's been some confusion around the state as to what this means, and even looking at our PowerPoint, and I assume responsibility for the word credentialed here. Shame on me. There is no actual credentialing for a College Credit Plus instructor who is also a teacher adjunct. So what this means is that in order to teach a college course authentically, the instructor must be, in order to teach a college course for high school students under College Credit Plus, if the instructor is not a college faculty member, but is instead a qualified high school teacher, that qualification is determined by the high school teacher either having a master's degree in the specific content area that is being taught at the college level, or some other master's degree, but 18 graduate level courses specific to the content area of the college course that teacher will be teaching on behalf of the college. So I know that sounds confusing, and on the Ohio Department of Higher Education's website, and possibly, hopefully on the Department of Education's website as well, there's a chart that indicates what a qualified high school teacher must have to teach college courses under the College Credit Plus program. And just to say one piece about this, this is a critical piece. to quality assurances and to the sustainability of the College Credit Plus program. We want to make sure that students are having this authentic college experience and that the college courses are authentically the college course with the college instruction. Colleges and universities in the state of Ohio are credentialed themselves and must meet the Higher Learning Commission's qualifications. And so if they don't meet the qualifications and instructor quality is a major component of that, then we all suffer. So instructors must be qualified. I don't know, Steve, if we want to just mention that there are quite a few post-secondary institutions as well as school districts as well as educational service centers around the state that were awarded funds in the total amount of $10 million that was allocated by the General Assembly a few months ago. And those funds are specifically targeted for high school teachers who want to earn the additional education to be able to be qualified high school teacher adjuncts under the College Credit Plus program. The third item that you see on the slide is that each College Credit Plus course must be the college's course. We've had a lot of questions around the state as to whether advanced placement courses could qualify as College Credit Plus courses. They cannot. We've had questions as to whether international baccalaureate courses or honors courses at the high school could qualify as College Credit Plus courses. They cannot. Again, these are high school classes. They are advanced standing high school classes, but they are not college courses. Getting back to that authenticity of the program and the accreditation that is required for colleges and universities to adhere to, these courses absolutely must be the same course that's in the college's course catalog, the same syllabus, the same materials, the same grading mechanisms, and again, the instructor must be qualified.
So, Lauren, is it, to clarify that last one, if it's a semester course at the college, does that mean it has to be a semester course at the high school?
It's a semester course, period. If the college determines that they're willing to allow their course to be taught over an exaggerated amount of time, then that's up to the college. It's the college course. Perfect.
So, Michael, we're going to go on to the next one as it pertains to student choice. And Wendy, why don't you share with us a little bit about student choice and how it pertains to College Credit Plus?
Great. Well, as we've discussed, College Credit Plus is a student-driven program, and so students, they get to choose the courses they want to take at the college. Of course, this is in speaking with their counselors, parents, and teachers. But once the students have been admitted to the college or university, the students get to choose their own courses.
So they get to choose their own courses, and so a lot of times people will say, well, at our school we have a requirement that seniors take, say, composition or British literature at that senior level. And so one of the things that we've aligned in College Credit Plus is that it's not specific course at the high school to a course at the college, but rather it's a course in English with an English course in college. So it's English to English, not course to course.
So Lauren, it's subject area.
It is totally what we would call subject area, yes.
And just to clarify, Steve, because you mentioned the word aligned, and I know that that's a trigger and a buzzword for many folks, College Credit Plus actually prohibits the idea of correlating or aligning or conditioning a college course being relative to a high school class. So again, we're just looking at subject area.
Yeah, and that's a great one, Lauren, because people even ask this question, and I've heard this one just recently. I'm going to kind of a little divergent from this, but yet related. It's taking an AP class and a college class and blending those together. And we've strictly said it's the college class. There's no blending of content. So I think
right.
You summarized it well when you talked about the assurances. It must be the college class. And I always like the example you say, it's just like another course offering in the course offering book.
That's right. It's another section. You know, you and I went to college. Everyone probably listening went to college, and you could choose a course, you know, on a Tuesday, Thursday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, or you can choose that same course Monday, Wednesday at 9 in the morning, and it's the same course. It just happens to be a different section. So under College Credit Plus, when the colleges are offering their courses in the high school, for example, or online, they simply have a different section number attached, but it is the same course.
Great. So let's transfer and talk about student eligibility. And Lauren, maybe you'll let us know, when can students begin College Credit Plus? How many hours can they take in a year? How many hours can they take over the course of their high school career? And if I have another question, I may jump in.
Okay, so let me make, that's a deal. So let me make a distinction between student eligibility versus students' ability to participate, all right? So under the statute, Ohio Revised Code 3365, a student is eligible to participate in College Credit Plus if they are an Ohio resident in grades 7 through 12 and have not earned a high school diploma or a GED. So that is the eligibility. They're in high school, grades 7 through 12, and they're an Ohio resident. However, only those who are college ready may participate in College Credit Plus. So once a student who is otherwise eligible applies to the college or university and is admitted as being college ready in at least one subject area, that student can take up to 30 college credits within an academic year. Now, let me make sure that everyone understands that the 30 college credits in an academic year is full-time college. So the only time a student can take 30 credit hours in a particular academic year is if that student is taking all of their high school Carnegie units, earning all of their high school Carnegie units through college courses. So most students are not eligible to take or able to take 30 credits in an academic year. Most students are taking far less than 30 because they are taking some high school classes in addition to some college courses. So there's a whole formula to that, and hopefully most of our listeners know that formula. If not, it's again on our website. In the totality of a student's participation in the College Credit Plus program, they may take up to 120 credits, during the 4 years that they're participating, 4 or 6 years that they're participating if they actually start in 7th grade.
So, Lauren, I would a clarifying question. One of the previous slides you talked about who's eligible, how many credits, all of this. But when we look at students being enrolled, can a student be enrolled in just one disciplinary area, or once they're enrolled, they can take any college classes?
No, they're enrolled or placed in a college-level credit-bearing course based on their college readiness. So each post-secondary institution, be it a 2-year community college, a 4-year university, regardless of public or private, must determine a student's college readiness based on what's in the statutes and the requirements to do so. Once a student is determined to be college ready, a student may be college ready in math and not language arts or English, or a student may be college ready in English and reading and able to take psychology and history, etc., but not math. Okay. Or students may be college ready across the board, in which case they can take anything that they schedule to take that doesn't have a prerequisite that they haven't accounted for.
Perfect. And one of the changes that's taking place this coming year is that College Credit Plus has now been expanded to include summer. And one of the questions we always receive, so how does this begin? Is it a summer leading or a summer ending?
It is a summer leading.
So what does that mean?
That means that the new academic year begins with summer term from the college. This has lots of implications for high school students. In many, many cases, summer terms in college begin in May, early May. And so many high school students are still in high school finishing up the last semester of their high school year. So theoretically, College Credit Plus students can have 1 foot in the 2016 academic year and 1 foot in the 2017 academic year simultaneously. So summer term begins with, whenever that particular college's term begins. So parents and students and counselors and everybody really needs to be cognizant of the fact that it's not a single date, that many institutions have multiple terms within the summer, and that if students intend to take courses over the summer, that they need to get their letter of intent to participate in quickly. We extended the window for that from February 15th all the way to April 1st. So the primary reason for doing so was because of summer. It starts early. You got to get your eligibility determined in terms of how many college credits you can earn in the next academic year, because summer begins that next academic year.
So, Laura, one of the questions that I've heard people ask is that, are we still required, are we still bound by 30 semester hours
Absolutely.
in a year? Okay.
Absolutely.
So they can now, if a student goes during summer, they take 9 hours, they only have 21 hours left for fall and spring.
Well, it's even more complicated than that. So if a student is college ready across the board to take all academic content at the college level, then that student is eligible for the up to 30 credit hours in an academic year. So your example holds exactly accurate. If the student takes 9 of those 30 during the summer, then they're able to take 21 over the fall and the spring. However, as we've talked about previously, many students are actually not eligible to take the full 30 credit hours because they are taking some high school classes and they have a high school schedule. So what this means is that, and it really is, falls at the high school and particularly in many instances the counselor to work with the student to determine what the next year's schedule is going to look like. Not necessarily the college course schedule, but what does the high school schedule look like? Because you have to determine the high school schedule in order to really identify how many college credits that student's going to be eligible for the entire academic year, summer, fall, and spring terms.
And as we go to the next slide, I think one of the things that, as we've gone through this rulemaking process around summer, I've learned that, a lot of summer classes from college to college aren't the same length or duration, so they're more intense. So school counselors, students, and their families really need to look at what kind of course load can one take during the summer, because it really is different.
Right, and that's very true. And just to kind of take a step back and think about some of these rules and some of these procedures that are required under College Credit Plus. College Credit Plus is for the student who wants to start college. So by virtue of that student being college ready and voluntarily wanting to start college, there is a level of responsibility at the student level that is presumptive in this program. So if a student wants to begin taking courses in the summer, that student needs to figure out where they want to take courses, which post-secondary institution, what that schedule looks like for the summer. Many post-secondary institutions don't offer as many courses in the summer as they do during the fall and the spring terms. So there are many, many variables. Just to remind folks, though, under the law, each post-secondary institution that is participating in College Credit Plus must assign an advisor to each College Credit Plus student. So this is an opportunity with the introduction of summer for students to really connect with their advisors. And I would certainly encourage high school counselors to work with students to connect with their college advisors. I mean, this is a rallying point where everybody can kind of circle the wagons and make sure that good educated decisions are being made by the students.
So, Laura, one of the other questions we've been receiving as it pertains to summer term, when students receive grades, what impact do those grades have on athletic eligibility?
Well, athletic eligibility is determined by, the Ohio High School Athletic Association. I need my ODE people to tell me who is that. Yeah, so the Ohio High School Athletic Association is not using the summer academic term toward fall academic, high school eligibility, athletic eligibility. So it really has no impact on high school athletic eligibility.
That was a perfect one. But students still can be grounded by their parents if they get poor grades. I think that is still part of the system. All right, let's go to what is the role of the district or the college as it pertains to an agreement? So we've heard about these agreements. I know last year was kind of a truncated year because it just started, but this year these agreements should be in place by now.
Yes,
and
February 1st was the deadline.
Yeah.
Deadline.
So that was the deadline that we have. And so what do we see in agreements, and what's the purpose of the agreements that we have?
Well, we don't see the agreements.
Right.
We, the Department of Higher Education or the Department of Education, don't see the alternative funding structure agreements unless those agreements seek to offer college courses below the floor, the statutory floor, at which case authorization for that needs to come from the chancellor. So the only alternative funding structure agreements that we actually see are those that seek to offer a cost that is below the floor on a per credit hour basis. However, I have been encouraging folks around the state, really, and as I know Wendy has and you have, Steve, to really articulate in these agreements as many different potential learning opportunities as we have experienced. So, for example, if there's been some issues around if there's a college course that's being offered in a high school taught by a qualified teacher adjunct, the alternative funding structure agreement can certainly identify what those courses are, who the adjunct is, how many students need to be in the course. I mean, there's, whatever is a relevant issue to either of the partners to this agreement, which is, of course, the district and the post-secondary institution. So the alternative funding structure agreement is to allow the parties to sit down and have conversation around what makes sense for each of them in order to have a smooth running program on behalf of students.
And do districts and colleges have to have an agreement?
No, absolutely not. They do not have to have an agreement in place. Having an agreement is an agreement. It's voluntary. So the statute clearly articulates the default funding mechanism. And this was very intentional. This was to make sure that students, again, from a very, I think, first or second slide, this is a student-driven program to attain college credits while college-ready students are in high school. So there is the default funding mechanism, which allows students to choose what post-secondary institutions they want to apply to attend, what courses they want to enroll in once they have been admitted or placed at a college level. And it is irrespective of what I like to say what the adults in the room, what the high schools or what the colleges come up with as their viable agreements. So again, the agreement is voluntary, not required for a student to participate, and the agreement cannot obligate a student. Okay, the agreement is really between the district and the college. It really is independent of the student. So certainly, if a college is offering a course in a high school and it's a convenience factor for students, they don't have to leave campus, they don't have to have transportation, they can be with their peers, and they can make it to the next class or course, in a timely manner. So certainly, there's a convenience factor that can be emphasized to students. All right, but it cannot be an obligation imposed on the student that they have to take that particular section of the college's course that's offered in the high school.
Great, and thank you for that, Lauren. And I know that's been one of those areas that we get a lot of questions. And again, these agreements were to be in place by February 1 for the upcoming academic year.
Correct.
And we've heard all sorts, and you're right, we haven't seen anything, but we have heard different types of agreements that people have put in place. But one of the items that people have talked about is textbooks. And so, Wendy, why don't you tell us what the requirements are for each of the institutions as it pertains to books and fees?
Sure. Well, students attending public colleges or universities, they don't get charged any fees. And they don't have to pay for their textbooks, so their tuition, books, and fees are covered. If a student chooses to attend a private college, they may be responsible for the fee or the price of the book or the tuition that exceeds the ceiling amount and what the private college would charge for their regular tuition.
So when it comes to students being admitted to college, do they pay for the admission, their application fee?
No.
Yeah, they don't pay for that. And any fees that would be associated with the courses that they would take, they don't have to pay for any of those fees.
No fees.
So the other one we've heard this year, what about special equipment that needs to be purchased for the class?
Nope, they're not responsible for those fees either.
Okay, and so it's real. We want to make sure that's clear to people. And then the high schools, our public schools are the ones that are required to pick up the cost of all of the books. Right. And I know last year that was, the first year we always have a little bit of those growth, experiences as we moved into this program. So I know people are working ways to have textbooks purchased, different types of agreements, and so that's something that is taking place between the district and the college, and so we want to make sure that works out well. Well, thanks for that, Wendy. And Lauren, we've given you a chance to catch your breath, but do you have something else you want to add on that?
I just want to call all of our listeners' attention to the Ohio Administrative Code 3333-1-65.6. It is the let me correct myself on that. It's 3333-1.65, and that is the definitions rule. And that definitions rule talks more about textbooks and fees and the respective responsibility of secondary and post-secondary. Because as you ran through with Wendy, and you were absolutely correct, Wendy, students do not pay any cost for textbooks. Students do not pay any cost for fees or any materials or supplies that are required by the syllabus of a college course. However, those are required to be paid for by the college and the textbooks.
And they can find that by going to the Ohio Administrative Code, and I know that the Board of Regents, the Ohio Department of Higher Education also has those links on their webpage. Well, one of the other areas that we've had a little bit of conversation about over the past year and a half is the weighting of grades. And the General Assembly came out with what we would call advanced standing courses, which include AP, IB, and College Credit Plus. So why don't you share with everyone, how do we handle the weighting of classes for College Credit Plus?
Well, the law is very specific. The law says that a student can choose between, as you indicated, the 3 advanced standing programs that are codified in Ohio law. So if a student chooses to participate in AP or IB or College Credit Plus, that student must be given the same grade weight for any of those 3 programs as a student participating in any of the other 2 programs would receive. So what that means is that we're talking equality, and we're talking equality by subject area. So if a particular district, because not all districts have AP, not all districts have IB, however, everybody, by law, all districts can or must offer College Credit Plus. So this makes sure that a student has and can make an authentic choice for him or herself as to what advanced standing program they want to participate in for any given course. So they don't, a student has the option in many districts to choose a particular class, either IB or AP, and also a College Credit Plus course, maybe even in that same semester, the same term. And if there is an AP class, for example, that, let's say, calculus, and if that district gives a greater weight than a regular math class in that district to the AP Calculus. Then because calculus is by subject area a math course, then a student that takes a math course at the college level, usually within a semester's time frame, will receive the same grade weight for that college course under College Credit Plus as the student who takes the high school class in the AP classroom.
So it's not calculus to calculus.
No.
It's a math class to a math class.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And that's one of those that I know we've had a lot of questions. And another one that's kind of related to that is some districts, as they've been looking at the weighting of classes, have readjusted or revisited how they select their valedictorian and salutatorian. So one of the things that we know, we have a couple districts that are creating two different lists. They have what they would call their College Credit Plus valedictorian and salutatorian, and then also one that wouldn't fall under College Credit Plus. And what caution should we share with districts, Lauren, as if they consider moving to a system that segregates students that way?
Well, the word segregating, isn't it?
Yeah.
So districts need to understand that what the law requires is equality of choice. And what the law requires is that a student not be penalized for that real, authentic choice that they are able to make in accordance with law. So whether or not the word valedictorian is part of, an award, or whether that award is simply given to the person with the highest class rank, it really comes down to less about what we're calling it and more about what it actually is beyond that high school environment. So in most instances, a person who has the highest class rank needs to be identified as being the person with the highest class rank. So if that person earned their college courses credits, which gave them a GPA which entitled them to be deemed the highest class ranks, and that person needs to be recognized as such. We've had a lot of concern from parents whose students are taking college courses under College Credit Plus, and they are being, from their perspective, discriminated against with some local grants and some local monetary awards. If a district is going to make these distinctions, we would recommend that they notify and be very clear as to what each of these different designations really means, so that they are protecting themselves from this perception of, something that may be discriminatory.
Yeah, that's a good point, Lauren. And the point that we're really trying to get across to everyone is that when we look at the class rank, regardless of calling, identifying a student for an honor such as valedictorian or salutatorian, the key is that there's one class rank, and all students need to be combined in that tally, and we can't, separate students out. So, that's a message that we want to make sure that we articulate very well, because this is, people are looking at ways that they identify students and honoring them for their academic achievement. But then oftentimes we have students that have taken on College Credit Plus, and they may not, they may struggle a little bit with passing their class. And so what are some of the provisions that are in place for students who fail a class?
Well, if a student fails a course, and hopefully we don't have this happen very often, but if a student fails a course, then, and if the student is a public school student, and if the student is not economically disadvantaged, the district may seek reimbursement from the student or the family, because the district is going to be paying the college for the student's participation in the course. But this reimbursement for tuition only is allowable. And I say tuition only because we have had questions, can districts seek reimbursement for the cost of textbooks? And the answer is no.
Okay. And Lauren, one of the things I want to point out on this, I'm going to guess that this is something that we want to make sure that the school counselor shares with the student and the parent, and ideally if they create an intent to participate form, that they understand that if they fail that course. And I think that's something we want to make sure people do. Wendy, I want to
Can I just clarify?
Sure.
Make sure I'm understanding what you're saying. So I believe what you're saying then is that the key here is communication.
Yes.
That parents and students must know that what the benefits are and what the risks are to College Credit Plus. And certainly one of the risks is if a student is not, for whatever reason, in the best place in that moment to take a college course, then the risk goes up. And the risk of having an F both on the high school transcript as well as the college transcript is a critical risk, as well as the risk of the district being able to seek reimbursement for that tuition.
So Wendy, I'm going to ask you a question as it pertains to students. If a student fails a class, what does that do to their high school and their college transcript?
That class, that failed grade will appear on their high school transcript.
And their college transcript?
And their college transcript as well, yes.
Yeah. So they begin that process of establishing their academic record in college when they're participating in College Credit Plus. And so, while different institutions may have freshman forgiveness rules or whatever in place, the key is that it does start their transcript for the student's academic career. We don't want to forget that.
So let me just interject, because we also get a lot of questions about, so if a student fails, can they retake the course? All right? And the answer is yes. The thought around this is that the district has the opportunity to become whole unless the student's economically disadvantaged. The district becomes whole financially by seeking that reimbursement, and the student may be in a better place to take the course the second time. So we don't want to preempt that student's opportunity. Additionally, as Wendy pointed out, since the student now has an F on their high school transcript, and it could be for a graduation required course, this gives the student the opportunity to, again, retake the course, hopefully not fail it a second time, do well, and have that additional grade on their high school transcript as well. Mm-hmm.
Great. Thanks for the extra clarity on that, Lauren. The other thing, and you indicated that communications is key. So Wendy, why don't you share a little bit about communication and some of the required events that colleges and more specifically that school districts are required to do?
Sure. High schools are required to promote the program. They need to make sure the students are aware the program exists, and they also need to have a parent information meeting. They need to hold a meeting that would include all of the public colleges, the participating private colleges, give them an opportunity to explain the program, the opportunities to the students related to their academics. It's also encouraged to promote the program and the school's College Credit Plus opportunities on the school's website.
Is it encouraged or is it required?
It's actually required. It is
we did put some stronger language in, and Lauren, the one thing that we often find out is that colleges, we have private colleges that want to participate and are participating. Where can parents and students go to find a list of participating private colleges?
Well, on the Ohio Department of Higher Education's website, there is a link to all of the public colleges and universities which are of course participating, and a link to the Ohio Association for Independent Colleges and Universities, and on that link it indicates the private colleges. Now, I would urge parents and students to contact a college or university that is a private college or university to inquire as to their level of participation or whether or not they're participating. Just because, things change and, that link, that information may not be as current as we would like to think it would be. Additionally, on our slide, Steve, it says that the annual information night, October 1 through February 15th, and it should also say beginning in the academic year of 2017, because these are the new dates for the new rules that just went into effect last week. And Obviously, we're beyond February 15th at the moment, and we did receive quite a few concerned phone calls from folks that had their meetings already scheduled later in February. You are not out of compliance. These rules did not go into effect until like the 23rd or 24th of February.
So the effective date for the current school year is what?
March 1st.
March 1st.
So we should have had them anyway.
Yep.
I'd like to point out that if the student and parent cannot attend that information meeting, that won't prevent the student from participating in the program. So the parent and student will still have to follow the counseling requirements, but that could include a meeting with the counselor or someone else from the high school, just to let the parents and the student know just what the program's about and how it can benefit their students.
That's great, Wendy. And Wendy, why don't you elaborate on how we non-public students and homeschool students get to participate in College Credit Plus?
Well, homeschool students and non-public students, they have to apply for the funding. So they receive the same benefits as the public school students, but they apply for funding. There's two pots of money set aside to fund the homeschool and the non-public school students, and this year we have made an electronic online application available. The non-public and the homeschool students, they still have the intent to participate letter that's due April 1st, and those forms are sent to me, and they still have to follow the same rules and eligibility requirements as the public school students. So the college will still determine whether or not the student is college ready.
So who pays for the books in the case of the non-public and homeschool students?
Well, the non-public high school is required to provide the textbook. And for homeschool students, the parent is responsible for providing the textbook.
Great. And I think an important thing, and Lauren, before I go on, why don't you jump in and share any other information on this topic?
We've gotten a lot of questions about the non-public and homeschool students who have participated this year and intend to participate next year, with a question of, do they need to submit a letter on the new online funding application? Do they need to submit their letter from the college or university that says they're eligible if they've already submitted that letter? Do they, Wendy, need to submit a letter?
They do. Each year we still need the assurance that the student is still college ready.
Okay, great.
Thanks for that clarification. And I'm going to follow up, and because this kind of is near the end of our formal presentation, and I have a few questions that I just want to throw out to the field. And Wendy, you've spoken about textbooks earlier, and one of the questions that we've received frequently via email is districts are asking, can we charge students for books if they return them late? And what we find is when we talk about return, schools, and the thing is that when a school purchases the textbook, it's the property of the school. It's not the property of the student unless that's what the high school wants to do or the school district wants to do. So they have a return policy. So the question is, hey, if you turn this book in late, what does that mean?
If the high school or the district has a policy in place for students that addresses the issue of not returning textbooks, returning damaged textbooks, late textbooks, they can absolutely implement that policy for the College Credit Plus books.
So they treat that just like any other textbook policy that they would have within their district. And another one we often get is with students with requiring to take end-of-course exams. And so what we have, do you have any guidance that you'd like to present on that, or would you like me to do that?
I'll let you take that.
Okay. One of the things that we get when it comes to students taking end-of-course exams, students are required to take end-of-course exams in mathematics and within English language arts. And the courses that fall outside of that, such as science, government, those are courses that they can use the the grade, if they're doing College Credit Plus, they can use the college grade as that the point total for graduation points. Now, the one thing that we are clarifying is that students do need to take, because of our federal accountability, they do have to be tested once in science during their high school career. So, the school district needs to be aware of that. So in that case, the college course, that end of course grade, will not be sufficient for accountability purposes. And that's we want to make that very clear. So in a few instances, and the nice thing is, all of that information as it pertains to course requirements and graduation requirements, that's located on the Department of Education. There's a crosswalk there that lays this all out, so people can look on the Ohio Department of Education's graduation requirement page. And so we want to make sure that we point that out to people. Some of the things that I want to call to people's attention, and Lauren, I may throw this to you. A lot of people say, if I want to take an AP class, or if I want to do a College Credit Plus class, how should I take that under advisement and counseling, if you will? And then also, how does this college credit that I'm taking, does it really transfer from institution to institution?
So I'll respond to the transferability of the College Credit Plus courses first, and then maybe you can clarify the first part of your question for me. So it really depends on what the course is that the student is taking, because Ohio has an extremely robust articulation and transfer system in place. So the vast majority of general education courses at the college level will absolutely transfer to any public post-secondary institution, be it a community college, be it a university, open enrollment, or competitive admission. So general education courses absolutely transfer. Most of them also transfer to the private colleges and universities, although the private college and universities we don't have a guarantee for that. We do have a guarantee for the transferability of the in-state public colleges and universities. If a student is taking a course that exceeds the general education level, that is a more advanced course, that's going to transfer as well. If a student is taking something that is a 1 or 2 credit hour course, maybe in the phys ed area, that may or may not transfer. That may transfer as an elective, but not, actually as a physical education course. That really gets a little bit more dicey. And we're hoping that again, we talked at the beginning, Steve, about how important, just critically important, the role of counselors, high school guidance counselors, and parents are to this process. It is most optimal for a student to be encouraged to register for courses that are going to reduce the amount of time that the student ends up in college after their high school graduation. It is optimal to encourage students to register for courses that are going to reduce the cost of college ultimately after high school graduation. That is really a critical reason why the College Credit Plus program was enacted by the General Assembly. We want to reduce the cost of college for Ohio students, and we want to reduce the cost of time that a student is engaged in post-secondary and get them into the workforce sooner with more credentials, more capability, so that they can earn a greater wage and be independent citizens of the state of Ohio. I mean, that's what we're trying to achieve here. So as the guidance counselors and parents talk with students, as students talk with other students, as information sessions are held and college advisors are engaged, really look at, is this course that I'm taking at college going to get me where I want to get to, in a year or 2 or 3 down the road.
And Lauren, that's a great comment, because that's one of the ways this program has been enhanced from what it was previously underneath dual enrollment and or PSE PSEO. So it's really, I've forgotten.
I was going to say, it's
so long
right out of
ago.
mind, right?
Yeah.
It's gone.
And my comment that I want to make as it pertains to IB, AP, and College Credit Plus, and people are saying which one of those advanced standing courses, or which one's best for me? And I think that really depends upon
what's best for me.
It is. You as an individual, as a student, having that conversation with your family, with your counselor of saying, what institution do I want to go to? In many cases, I've told people that some private schools will look more favorably toward an AP or an IB course. They need to figure that out. And even when they want to go, to a different state to go to for post-secondary education, they need to look at what are some of those institutions requiring and what they look as the best courses. And that really falls into a little bit of that 15 and 30-hour pathways we want people to do. And, we have colleges that are actually creating those, even though high schools are the ones that are responsible to do that. What I've done is I've encouraged people for students to create their own 15 or 30 or even 60-hour or more pathway so they can start to lay that out. And typically we would see that, if you remember back on the time when we went to college, we had a pathway when we declared our major. And so that's really what this is putting forth. And so that's what makes this program so unique. It gets a jump. It gets a head start on that, and especially with what the chancellor and the governor announced with the 3+1 coming on, this is really enhancing the opportunity for students to get further education while they're in high school and as they do transition to full-time college. Well, Michael, that's some of the key parts of our presentation, and I know I'm going to guess that the field has a few questions in the last 5 minutes or so that you want to ask us.
Thank you so much, Steve, Lauren, and Wendy. We have a number of questions that have been submitted, and we appreciate those. We'll try to cover as many topics as we can in our few minutes. In terms of participation, does the high school need to send a letter of intent to ODE or ODHE, and do they just keep that on file?
The public high school will keep those letters on file.
Excellent.
They do not need to submit those to ODE or Department of Higher Education.
Thank you so much. In terms of determining college readiness for a student, is that something that the district should determine based on student to student? And an example was given of a student who is extremely gifted in the visual arts, but still needing to take a high school level curriculum. Could they perhaps take a college level visual arts class?
Sure. The key is for that student to submit their letter of intent to the district in a timely manner, to the high school in a timely manner, and to apply to the college or the university that student believes to have the visual arts program that they're interested in, and see what their criteria is, what their eligibility is, if there are prerequisites, etc. The obligation of the post-secondary is to admit the student as being determined college ready based on how they would admit any other student.
Thank you very much. You mentioned how critical communication is during this process to parents and families. Are districts allowed to mandate that all high school parents who are interested attend the College Credit Plus meeting in their district?
Wendy, do you want to answer this? Because I think you made this point, didn't you?
I did. And no, they cannot issue a mandate. Parents, they have different schedules. They're not always available to devote an evening to these meetings. So schools will have to accommodate and be a little flexible with the parent schedule and still find a way to provide the information to the parent and student.
And I think one of the things that we've encouraged people to do, instead of, we know we can't mandate, but one of the things that they can do is require that the parent sign the intent to participate form. So, if the school has done due diligence in listing all the risk and all the benefits of participating in College Credit Plus on that intent to participate, then the student and the family and the parent, the guardian can sign that. And so that kind of can serve that purpose, because Lauren has pointed out, and you have, it's imperative. And it's actually, I think it's in rule, that they have to understand what the risks and the benefits of participating in College Credit Plus. We don't want people just to take this lightly.
Absolutely. We received a number of questions regarding the summer term, and one of which If a student takes a summer course, does that course have to be with a college with whom they have an agreement?
No. In fact, at no time can the fact that a high school or district has an agreement with a college, at no time can that be a restrictive to the student to choose to go somewhere else or to another college. So the same holds true in the summer. In fact, there's actually in statute the availability that students can go to multiple post-secondary institutions simultaneously. There's really no limit posed on the student as to where they can or should apply to or where they can or should attend. The key is for the student to figure out what is best for them, to apply for the admissions, and if that institution deems them to be college ready, then they can take courses there, and if a second or a third institution deem them to also be college ready, they can also take courses there. Again, within the total amount of college credit availability for that academic year. So they cannot exceed whatever is their credit eligibility simply by going from college to college.
So, Michael, I have a question that was submitted to me, not today, but previously, and I want to have a conversation with Lauren about this, and it really comes down to the years of eligibility for College Credit Plus, and this is actually in statute. So what does statute say on the years of eligibility for students to participate in College Credit Plus?
Well, I don't have the statute in front of me, Steve, so I'm not going to quote the statute. But to summarize the statute. I am an attorney. I'm not going to quote it. But to summarize, it's 4 years. Obviously, it's your freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year. However, the statute also indicates that 7th and 8th graders who are eligible, and therefore, if they're able to participate, may also participate. But certainly the statute expresses this idea of a senior year.
Yeah, and so it really, I think if I remember reading the statute, it speaks to the point that once the student starts their 9th grade year, they have 4 years. And so including that 9th, so that would take them through 12th grade. So we don't have a 5th year of eligibility. And the other one that we have that it pertains to students on IEPs, and what we're saying is that if it's written within the student's IEP that they can participate in College Credit Plus, they are permitted to extend that beyond that 4 years that's written in statute. So Michael, you want me to wrap up, or I'll go ahead and wrap this up. And number one, I want to thank Lauren and Wendy for joining this webinar today, and it's been a real thrill. We've always enjoyed having a conversational approach to talking about College Credit Plus. We do this all the time in the office, and we entertain a lot of questions. So if you have questions, we have the ability to go to the Ohio Department of Education or the Ohio Department of Higher Education, and that's the site that you see there. That we have a couple dedicated web pages. We have an email address that people can send questions to us, so we can have, be able to get back to you in a timely fashion. Wendy talked about the new online program for homeschool and non-public students that we're taking right now. That's open and operational. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye and turn it over to Lauren if you want to wrap up with anything.
Thank you, Steve. I just want to make sure that everybody is aware that on this website that you see on your screen for the Ohio Department of Higher Education, we have some new materials up there. We have a current PowerPoint that's been updated with the new the summer rules as they are in effect, and we have a revised flyer that folks can print out for parents that has that updated information on it as well. We have information on when a school district can seek reimbursement for students who drop a course, not just fail, but who drop a course beyond the 14th day, assuming that student is not economically disadvantaged. We have a chart that indicates what the impact for each student is in a variety of scenarios for failing, for dropping, for when they can retake a course, for when a course is paid for by the parents, when the course is paid for by the district, etc. So we have lots of resources up on this website, and I encourage folks to explore and then let us know if you have further questions.
Thank you very much. Lauren, Steve, and Wendy, this concludes our webinar.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This concludes today's webcast. To ensure that we continue to provide quality webcasts, please take the time to fill out the survey that is currently on your screen about today's session. We appreciate your feedback.